Welcome to RCAM. I'm your host, Ryan, and thank you for tuning in today. I wish I was doing this stream with good news. That would be great. But unfortunately, it's not one of those streams. This is one of those streams that is difficult, much like the stream I had to do last week. Covering the shooting in Minneapolis. I don't like having to do streams like this. I really don't, but they are necessary. They are necessary because we see evil pervading our society on a level never thought imaginable. So today I will be discussing Irina Zaruska, a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee who fled the United States in 2020, or fled Ukraine to the United States in 2022. For those of you who have not seen the video footage yet of what happened to this girl, I will play it for you. It is unsettling and upsetting and outright awful. It is something that I have actually spent the past few days thinking about, and it has grieved my spirit on a deep level, and it's something that I think is actually unimaginable and shouldn't happen, but yet it does at an alarming rate. And I want to just open with a scripture real quick. It says, "And because lawlessness will be increased, the love of many will grow cold." Matthew 24:12. And as we will get into this story, you will begin to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Not just from the perpetrator, but those who watched as this beautiful young woman lost her life to this violent animal. So on August 22nd, 2025, Irina Zaruska, a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee who fled the United States in 2022, was fatally stabbed in a random attack aboard the Charlotte Lynx Blue Line light rail train. The man who stabbed her to death is 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown Jr., a career criminal who had previously been arrested a staggering 14 times. This man was arrested 14 times. And I keep replaying the scene leading up to and right after the stabbing, and I'm haunted. This girl was just minding her own business, innocently scrolling through the phone, when this man out of nowhere decided to pull out a knife and stab her. So we will play that footage. It is censored, thank goodness, but I do think it is relevant for this video. Okay. Give me 1 second here. Okay. All right. So here's the footage. There's no audio, so just bear with it, or at least none that I can hear. Oh, here it is. And that's right up into before the moment he ultimately comes down with her on the knife. You could see blood dripping in the background. And he casually walks off the train like nothing happened. Horrific. Absolutely horrific. Hold on, I gotta fix the on TikTok it's looking fine, but something is not fit to screen. I don't know why this is messed up on my end. It wasn't before. There we go. All right, that's better. So, yeah, she's just sitting there minding her own business, not doing anything. And this guy comes behind her and stabs her. Just totally catches her off guard and claims her life. And I cannot imagine that happening. Like I can't imagine it. And if I didn't see the video footage, I wouldn't be able to imagine. It's something that is unspeakably evil. It's something that in a civilized society shouldn't happen. But yet here we are where it is happening, and it's awful. Now it gets worse, and we will cover some of the more recent footage that come out, because there is recent footage showing Irina recoiling in terror as the man towers over her and then walks away. She puts her hand to her face as she's bleeding out and is just shocked by what just occurred. Now, there are people calling for the death penalty of this career criminal. And look, this is his arrest record. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 times. This man was arrested and put back on the streets. 14 times. How, in a civilized society, do we allow this type of thing to happen and expect different results? That is the definition of insanity. If somebody repeats criminal offenses over and over and over again, and we have to keep locking them up, it's no longer them just being crazy, it's our system that is crazy. That is crazy. No, I think we should have like a 3-strike rule. And if it's a violent crime, you get one chance. This is ridiculous. This is abject insanity. And we just should not allow this type of thing to happen. So I want to play for you the more recent footage, and then we're going to talk about it. All right, so this is from the Blaze. This is footage that was shared, showing a little bit more of what happened, a different angle. Oh, come on. Go figure. It's just not working right now. We'll give it a minute. All right, here we go. Look at her. She's stunned. There's another video where it shows him come up behind her. I gotta find it. Give me a second. That one's not the best one I've seen. I'm just floored, man. I see this type of thing and I'm just appalled and horrified that this type of thing can happen in America. Here we go. Wait, no, that's not it. Here we go. This is it. It keeps cutting out the first part of it. Yeah, so it cuts out. You don't actually see it. You just see her recoil. So this is after the knife comes down. It's disgusting, man. It's truly horrific. And what makes the scene worse is that in the new footage, we are able to see the rest of the passengers on the bus. This is what makes the already tragic situation even worse because these pathetic excuses for human beings did absolutely nothing to stop this, did nothing to help this girl. They just sat and watched. If you take note of the people around her, which we will go back to and we'll play the video one more time. Look at everybody around her. Woman sitting on her phone. She sees something happens, sees him walking away. Looks like she sees the knife. Looks at the girl. That guy gets up and walks out. She looks away, pretends like nothing's happening. Gets up, sees the girl's like shuddering, and does nothing. They do nothing. And this to me is one of those things that I've talked about this before. It's and we've seen this type of apathy on display before. And it's one of those things that I cannot fathom that we live in a society where nobody helps somebody in need. Like nobody took it upon themselves to help this girl, at least immediately, at least those in her immediate vicinity, because we will see a video, some footage a little bit afterwards where somebody does come to her aid. So yeah, so that one woman watches, she even appears to be slightly bothered by what's happening and ultimately does nothing. And there were a few more people sitting in the back who did not a damn thing to help this poor girl. They all just sat back there and just didn't do anything. Like, how do you see something like that happen and you don't do anything? You don't even say, "Hey, are you okay? Are you okay?" And I don't know what's worse, the monster who stabbed this poor girl to death, or the pathetic excuse for human beings that did nothing to help her as it was happening and after it happened. They didn't call 911 or even check to see if she was okay when she was bleeding out. They just went about their business like nothing was happening as Irina lost her life. And I think this tragedy is a window into the state of our nation. This is what happens when lawlessness abounds and the violent never face justice. It's also a picture of what apathy and cowardice breed on every level. In almost every facet of leadership, this woman was failed. She was failed by the justice system, which let this monster loose 14 times, despite one of those charges being armed robbery. She was failed by the federal and state governments for shutting down asylums, where we should be putting the mentally ill. She was failed by the transit system because Brown was fare jumping without a ticket and there were inadequate enforcement mechanisms to stop him. She was failed by Democrats and their soft on crime policies that allow offenders like this to go free. And she was failed by the apathetic and cowardly humans who were with her on the bus. And she was ultimately failed by the church for our abdication of responsibility to seek justice for the wicked. We've embraced this hippie Jesus like he doesn't punish at all. Like he's all love and never any punishment. Need I remind you, by the way, that Jesus, when he comes back, the very first thing he's doing is punishing the wicked? It's one of the first things. He's coming back with fire in his eyes and a sword in his hand. And we want to sit here and pretend like God doesn't punish evil or he doesn't want to punish evil. We've decided for too long that we need to keep the church out of politics. And the result has been evil having its way with our culture. And enough is enough. The gospel does not stop at the door of politics. God instituted government to punish evil. That is the entire reason the government exists. It exists to punish evil. This is from Romans 13, 1 through 4. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed, and those who resist will incur judgment. For rulers are not a terror to good conduct. This is people who obey and do what the Bible says, and those, but to bad. Would you have no fear for the one who's in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval, for he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain, for he is the servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on wrongdoers. Well, we don't see the government carrying out God's wrath on evildoers. We see them letting them get away with it, releasing them from prison so that they can inflict wrath on innocent people. That's what we're doing right now. And that is not the purpose of the government. That is not what we are supposed to be doing. A government rightly ordered upholds justice. A government rightly ordered protects the innocent and punishes the wicked. That is good. That is the way things ought to be. We could stop evil if we had the courage to actually seek justice. If we severely punished reoffenders, roughly 70 to 80% of the crime would vanish overnight. That isn't what happens, though. We release criminals, often violent offenders, and they go on to carry out horrific acts like DeCarlos Brown committed against Irina. This is definitionally insanity. It is insane that we keep doing the Democrat failed soft on crime approach. Innocent people suffer, and we decide to keep doing the same thing over and over again. It has to stop. It's time to break the cycle of insanity and return to justice, real justice, not fake justice for drug dealers and criminals, but justice for the innocent. We must punish criminals who are repeat offenders, especially if they are prone to violence in cases like DeCarlos Brown. If we had executed him when he committed armed robbery, which used to be the norm, by the way, until the 1970s, 1980s, when we decided that sentencing someone to death for robbing someone at gunpoint was cruel and unusual punishment, how is that cruel and unusual? They tried to take somebody's life so they get their lives taken. That seems fair and just to me. So they demonstrated the willingness to do a horrific act. If we did this If we stop these people, this tragedy could have been prevented. So it's actually time that we start to punish evil again. No more letting the violent languish in prison. No more releasing violent criminals back into the streets to terrorize innocent women. No, it's time to actually punish evil. The left will have you believe it isn't compassionate to sentence the violent to death. And they'll turn a blind eye when those same violent people murder the innocent. Leftist compassion is just hatred masked as righteousness. Their contempt for the law only empowers the wicked to harm the innocent. And until we find our courage to do what is right, we will be no different than those who sat on that train and did nothing as Irina was slaughtered. I don't want to live in a country like that. I don't want to live in a country where we turn a blind eye to evil, where we ignore human suffering to appease the feelings and the fake compassion of leftists. We can't do that anymore. We can't. Because when we do, it is innocent people who suffer. I mean, look at this image, man. This poor girl, man, she's just terrified. Terrified. And I think, like, what if that was my daughter? Like, what if that was my daughter on the bus or train? And as I prep for this story, new footage came in. I'm gonna play that, and I gotta be full transparency. This is difficult to watch. It is blurred out. It is censored to a degree, but it still doesn't make it any less difficult. So this ultimately comes from Alex Jones. So here's another angle of the footage, and notice what doesn't happen. All right, notice what isn't happening in the footage, and then we'll talk about it. All right, so here is the video. Actually, I'm just gonna leave it like that and play it there. This poor girl, man. This poor girl. Horrific. Absolutely horrific. This is what one person finally did in the aftermath. Came over and decided to take pictures. Disgusting. Just disgusting. So this is from Ben Shapiro. 1 minute and 35 seconds. That is how long it was between Irina Zertuska being stabbed in the neck by an evil and crazed psychopath, and anyone doing anything. Many people stood by and looked apathetically at their phones. Yeah. And that is one of my biggest problems with this, man, is the clear apathy demonstrated by these people. Just not doing anything at all. Now, I will say that there were some people that did actually finally do something about this. They didn't just stand there idly. After several minutes of something happening, we have this individual who ran over and helped her, this guy in this green shirt, and then another bystander while this human was recording it. So it looks like this guy took his shirt off to help stop the bleeding. And this woman was trying to help. So these people, I will say, are heroes. They are heroic. They actually sprung into action and tried to do something to help this poor girl. But everybody on the back of the bus, the immediate witnesses, are, I wouldn't even, some of them I don't even think they're cowards. They're indifferent. They're like soulless, apathetic individuals whose hearts have grown cold. Their hearts have grown cold. They did nothing to stop this, and this woman tragically lost her life. And I just can't help but think, like, how could this happen in a civilized society? And why don't people do anything? Like, why don't people actually do something? You know what I mean? You know, maybe people are saying, well, it's easier said than done. Maybe they were afraid. They didn't look afraid, guys. They looked like they didn't care. They looked like they didn't care. But even if they were afraid, that's still not an excuse to be a coward, all right? One of the defining factors of being courageous is doing something even when you are afraid. But they did nothing. And as I said earlier, if we don't do anything about this, if we don't continue to demand change in our legal system, this type of thing will continue to happen. But again, it doesn't have to be that way. We can stop this. We can restore law and order if we are willing to punish evil. And sometimes harshly. That may hurt some people's tummies. That may make you feel a little bit bad. But the consequences of ignoring violent behavior is the death of women like Irina. That is the consequence. And it could be a woman you know. Could be your wife. Could be your sister. Could be your mother. Could be your daughter. She was somebody's daughter. And now they have to face the grim reality that she is no longer alive because of what this man did and because of what the legal system failed to do. Now, I do want to play this video of Matt Walsh's commentary because I do think it's good. And he makes an argument for why we should punish people who commit armed robbery like this guy. So let's give it a watch and we'll weigh in.
Our current system only gives capital punishment, and then only rarely, to someone who actually kills another person. But what about someone who, through their behavior, has shown a willingness to kill another person? What about someone who is willing to murder another human being just to take their wallet or their shoes or their car? What is the argument? What is the actual argument for waiting until that already violent offender actually kills someone before giving them the maximum punishment? I want someone to explain this to me. If a guy walks up to a woman on the street, or a man, points a gun at the person's head and takes their purse or their wallet, Why shouldn't that guy be hanging from a rope 24 hours after he's convicted in a court of law? Why not? Don't give me some platitude. Don't just shout the word compassion at me. Give me an actual argument. It would certainly make our communities much safer if we started executing armed robbers. If we responded with that kind of brutal decisiveness to violent criminals, there's no question that it would make our communities much safer. So why shouldn't we do it? Here's the question. Is the cost of having much more dangerous communities worth the benefit of keeping guys like DeCarlos Brown alive? Does anyone think the answer to that question is yes?
Nope, I don't. I sure as hell don't.
The benefit is that we guys like DeCarlos Brown, we get to keep them alive. And the cost is that our communities are very unsafe and people like Irina die. What do we think about the cost-benefit analysis there? Look, I've been making this point for a long time. As a society, we have two choices. Okay, only two. Either we are going to inflict severe, merciless suffering on the criminals, the violent degenerates, the sociopathic predators, the dysfunctional, the barbaric, or we're going to allow severe, merciless suffering to be inflicted on the innocent. The women sitting on the train after work, the pedestrians walking their dogs in the park, the Uber drivers, the gas station clerks, and so on. One group or the other is going to be made to feel immense suffering. One group or the other is going to be met with brutality and violence. There's no third option, at least not for us. Now, other countries may be able to find a middle path. Japan is one of the safest countries in the world. It's also completely homogenous. 98% of Japanese citizens are ethnically Japanese. They are a small, homogenous country where everybody shares the same culture, same values, same priorities, the same fear of public shame and embarrassment. And yet, even in Japan, the death penalty is mandated in their penal code. They don't use it often, but when they do use it, the accused finds out their execution date on the day of the execution. And then they're taken off to be hanged without any further appeal. So Japan's secret sauce is homogeneity with severe and lethal punishment dispensed on the rare occasion when it's necessary. That is not our situation. We are a very big country. We are, as we're always reminded, very diverse. So we are left with the two options I just outlined. Severe, brutal, ugly punishment of the guilty, or severe, brutal, ugly punishment of the innocent. Either the former or the latter. To choose neither, to refuse to choose, is to choose the latter. It is to say that it is worth it for the innocent to suffer so that the guilty don't have to. And that's the answer that our system has decided on. It's decided that it's better for 1 million innocent women on the train to be butchered in broad daylight than for one violent criminal to be severely punished. And even worse, the people who give this answer have the nerve to call it compassion. It is not compassion. It is callousness in the extreme. It is monstrous cruelty.
He's absolutely right. It is not compassionate to allow evil people to inflict untold amounts of harm on your citizens with no repercussions. That is not compassion. That is evil. And this is why I say leftist compassion is evil. Because they have compassion for exactly the wrong types of people. They don't give a single damn about the innocent. They don't care. They don't. Also, this idea too, like there's a lot of people that say the death penalty doesn't work. Punishing violent crime doesn't work. Shut up. Shut up. Of course it works. We just don't do it. We never do it. That's why it doesn't work. We don't do it. We find somebody guilty of murder and then they sit in prison for years, and they go through appeals process and all this nonsense before they are finally ultimately found executed. And there's no reason for this. Right now, currently, we have, people school shooters who are still languishing in prison. Why are they alive? What good reason is it to have them alive? I I don't know. I don't know. But if somebody is caught red-handed, like this guy was in the act on camera, we should have his trial immediately and execute him speedily. And by the way, there is a Sixth Amendment too that guarantees the right to a speedy and public trial. I think we forget that exists. But maybe we should start to remember that it exists and actually expect that our constitutional rights are being enforced. Have a speedy trial, a public trial, and then sentence this person and carry out that sentence swiftly. Very quickly, you will start to see people get in line. When they realize that there's actual consequences to their actions, when they realize that they're not going to be able to be arrested 14 times before they face any repercussions, if they even do. Also, by the way, it is not only good to do this, but it's also biblical, by the way. It is biblical to have a speedy trial. It is biblical to swiftly carry out justice. Ecclesiastes 8:11 reads, "Because the sentence against an evil deed is not executed speedily, the heart of the children of man is fully set to do evil." And we see that it has never been more apparent than right now that the heart of man is set to do evil. They are committed to doing evil because of a failure on our governing authorities to do their job and deliver justice. God, it just boils my blood, man. It is insane to me. Now, I don't really want to spend too much time on the race angle of this. Now you're going to have, conservative commentators, many of them taking the race angle. I don't know how that does anything to change the situation. I really don't. The issue that we should be focusing on is punishing violent criminals, no matter what their race is, because we are not supposed to show partiality. Partiality is actually how we got into this situation to begin with, because of this DEI nonsense and bail reform being, racist against locking up criminals. But there is one part of the race angle that I wanted to talk about. And this guy did specifically target this woman because she was white. How do I know that? Well, because he says it. So here's a video of him saying, "I got that white girl." So, yeah, this is racially motivated, which that's ugly. And this is the type of, and if this were the opposite scenario, and this were a white guy saying, "I got that black girl, I got that black girl," I guarantee people would be outraged. So, yeah, this man was racially motivated, very clearly. He says that. Now, as for what we're to do about it, it shouldn't be racially motivated. It should be partial or impartial. We should judge him by his actions and what he did, and take him to task in a court of law and come down with an iron fist on any people that are committing violent crimes, period. And as discussed before, if we punished reoffenders, about 70 to 80% of crime would disappear overnight. Overnight, it would be gone. Overnight, we would see things change. Overnight, our country would become a lot safer, especially our inner cities. I know it can be done. I know it can. The question is do we have the courage to actually start to do it? And I think we are slowly getting there. I do. I think we are approaching a time where we might actually see some reform. And I do think this could lead to some real change. I want to see there was a Donald Trump Truth Social post about this. I want to see if I can find it real quick because he does weigh in. He does do a tweet. Oh, here we go. Found it. All right. This is the Trump tweet. All right. I've seen the horrific video of a beautiful young Ukrainian refugee who came to America to escape the vicious war in Ukraine and was innocently riding the metro in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she was brutally ambushed by a mentally deranged lunatic. Oh, we got to talk about this too, this mental health nonsense. The perpetrator was a well-known career criminal who had been previously arrested and released on cashless bail in January, a total of 14 times. What the hell was he doing riding the train and walking the streets? Criminals like this need to be locked up. The blood of this innocent woman can literally be seen dripping from the killer's knife. And now her blood is on the hands of Democrats who refuse to put bad people in jail, including former disgraced and wannabe Senator Roy Cooper. North Carolina and every state needs law and order, and only Republicans will deliver it. Additionally, where is the outrage from the mainstream media on this horrible tragedy? Vote Michael Whatley for United States Senate. He won't let this happen again. Yeah, that's another thing. The media has been radio silent. I see some of you guys watching on TikTok. I wonder, I suspect that's probably where you've seen most of this coverage, or X, but you're not seeing it on the mainstream media. Now they're starting to cover it just now. But when this story originally broke, radio silence. And now the way they're covering it is actually in an attempt to smear the right wing for noticing it. That's what they're doing. Black Scythe, of course, he's capitalizing on the brutal killing to endorse Republican candidate. TikTok is the only place I've heard this. Well, if that Republican candidate is actually going to stop this, what's the problem with that, Black Scythe? What's the issue? I'm not seeing the issue with that. That's good, Brandon. Yeah, of course, this is the only place that you've seen it covered. Yeah, this in X, and now I'm seeing it leak onto Threads. Now that it's reached a fever pitch and can't be ignored, because we wouldn't let it go, and we're not going to let it go, because something needs to be done about it, plain and simple. And it looks like he's going to deliver. So we got this video that will play by Trump. There is no way to tell a Republican will stop it. Well, I mean, the fact that they're at least commenting and acknowledging that it's happening, and we have the AG weighing in, I'll share her post, means that I do think they're definitely doing something, and it also falls on us to petition our lawmakers to actually do something about it. To purge these soft on crime AGs and replace them with people that are actually going to uphold justice. All right, here's President Trump's statement.
For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people, really very, very innocent people. In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength.
Yes.
We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot. And it's time to stop this madness. The people of our country need to insist on protection, safety, law, and order. We have proven that it can be done because we did it right here in D.C., in District of Columbia. The capital of America was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need help. Chicago needs help. Other cities need help. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again, and that includes our big cities. We're going to make those cities safe. Thank you.
Yeah, we need it. Like, we need it. The alternative is we let these people roam free and continue to senselessly murder innocent women. Brandon Montag writes, liberals are the reason this happened in the first place. Yeah, they are. They are. All right, this is from Attorney General Pam Bondi. Irina Zerutska was a young woman living the American dream. Horrific murders are a direct result of failed soft on crime policies that put criminals before innocent people. Yes, that is exactly too what this is. They put criminals before innocent people. I've directed my attorneys to federally prosecute DeCarlos Brown Jr., a repeat violent offender with a history of violent crime, for murder. We will seek the maximum penalty for this unforgivable crime, and he will never again see the light of day as a free man. Now, if this means that he's going to languish in prison for the rest of his life, I say, no, that's not justice. Anything short of the death penalty is a miscarriage of justice in this situation. He needs to be made an example of. That if you do this type of thing, that you are going to pay the ultimate price for it. No more playing games. No more soft on crime policy. No more feeding him all the days of his life. No. His life will come to a violent end as he violently ended somebody else's life. I'm done with it. You know, and there's just, I mean, guys, there's just video after video of violence happening. And now that we have more cameras on basically every city street in America, we're seeing it. So here's a video that happened in Philadelphia in broad daylight. This was shared by Libs of TikTok. A woman was assassinated in broad daylight in city center of Philadelphia. Ooh, that's loud. Jesus. Sick. Dude, it's too much, man. This is another one. This guy raped a 4-year-old, giving her an STD. He was freed from jail a week ago despite 6 violent arrests. How is that possible? How is that possible? I don't get it. I don't understand it. A 4-year-old. A 4-year-old. And they let him free. It's sick, man. So you just have dozens of examples like that, just like this, man, of people doing horrific crimes, often career criminals, and they're just able to go free. It should not be that way. It's insanity. It's madness on a level I never thought possible. And it has to stop. Yeah, it is very sad, man. It's something that I cannot understand. It's good as long as it's your criminal that's sitting in the White House. I love how people will deflect from the violence that we're actually seeing on camera and that's actually happening to try to make some sort of attack on Republicans. Even let's just pretend what you say is true. That has actually literally nothing to do with what I'm talking about. So nice pivot, Attica, but really not going to work. All right. So shifting gears a little bit, we have a story of a student that called out their professor for teaching radical gender ideology despite it being banned from being taught in classrooms. So let's play this clip.
I just have a question because I'm not entirely sure this is legal to be teaching, because according to our president, there's only 2 genders, and he said that he would be freezing agencies' funding programs that promote gender ideology, and this also very much goes against not only myself but a lot of people's religious beliefs, and so I am not going to participate in this because it's not legal, and I don't want to promote something that is against our president's laws as well as against my religious beliefs. Mm-hmm. Yes. You are under in this conception that what I'm saying is can you explain to me how teaching us about gender identity and transgenderism and that there's more sexes than
gender isn't illegal.
Huh?
My gender isn't illegal.
Gender? What do you mean? Your gender is not illegal. According to President Trump's executive order, if you want me to read the paragraph in the order itself.
If you are uncomfortable in this class, you do have the right to leave.
Yes.
What we are doing is not illegal. And if you would like to
Actually, it is. It actually is illegal, and you'll get stripped of federal funding.
Well, I've already been in contact with the president of A&M, and I actually have a meeting with him in person to show all of my documentation tomorrow, but...
She came with receipts, yeah.
Yes.
I'm not convinced
which it isn't actually biologically true. Man, my days are numbered on TikTok. They are. And I just got started.
Because I mean, you have the legal and ethical authority, as well as the professional expertise in this classroom.
Okay.
Which kind of you believe in.
Yeah, no, I am.
That student is absolutely 100% right. There are only two genders. I don't know if I'm still allowed to say that on TikTok. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But true. And I'm glad she actually stood up. Man, what I would give to actually go back to college now with all of my wisdom and understanding, I would have a field day with these leftist teachers. It would be fun for me to take them to task on some of this madness that they're teaching. I would love it, man. I'd fail every class because I would be calling out all their nonsense, but man, I would have a good time doing it. That'd be fun, like for just purely content sake, to just enroll in like a leftist community college and just sit through their classes and cover the nonsense that they teach. That would be great. But yes, according to Trump's executive order, they will get stripped of their federal funding if they continue to teach this, and if they try to disguise it or mask it as something else, and they're caught teaching it, it'll be a problem for them. So kudos to the girl for actually holding her ground and saying what's true. Yeah, I agree, Brandon. Good on the student. Good on her for actually standing up for what is right and what is actually true. So that's good news. Speaking of good news, along the same vein, so this is from Fox News. 12-year-old boy who fought back against his school for pushing a book about changing genders speaks alongside President Trump at the Museum of the Bible. I've been a Christian my whole life, and Jesus means everything to me. I knew this was not right, but I was afraid of getting in trouble. After my family spoke up, the school treated us badly, and kids started bullying me and my brothers because of our faith. Yeah, that has to stop too.
Hi, I'm Shane Cias. I've been a Christian my whole life, and Jesus means everything to me. When I was in 5th grade, my school forced me to teach my kindergarten buddy about changing his gender using a book called My Shadow is Pink. The book said you can choose your gender based.
Oh, do you believe that nonsense that he was being taught, Rain Inspector? Do you believe that? Because if you do, then you have no brain cells. I'm sorry.
Based on feelings instead of how God made us. I knew this was not right, but I was afraid of getting in trouble. After my family spoke up, the school treated us badly, and kids started bullying me and my brother because of our faith. And the school did nothing to stop it. It hurt a lot, but I kept trusting God. I believe kids like me should be able to live our faith at school without being forced to go against what we believe. I hope no other family has to go through what mine did. Thank you.
I gotta look more into the actual details of that story and what ultimately ended up happening to the school. But it does seem like the tides are turning a little bit, and the anti-Christian nonsense is actually being addressed from the highest office in America. Because there's a lot of quote unquote hate speech directed at Christians, and it goes largely ignored. Like people, like you're allowed to negatively say horrible things about Christians on TikTok, not Rumble, because Rumble's the goat. They're the best, and I can say whatever I want and however I want on Rumble. But on TikTok, you can say whatever you want about Christians, and there's no problem. But the moment you start talking about the Rainbow Mafia, that's a problem. You can't say that. You can't say anything negative against the coveted LGBTQ plus community, but you can have it's open season on Christians, which it shouldn't be so, but yet it is. So this is another video where Trump is talking about the anti-Christian sentiments expressed.
And I created the first ever Department of Justice task force
to eradicate anti-Christian bias. And for those people that are a little bit naive or not well-read, there is a tremendous anti-Christian bias. We don't hear about it. We don't think about it. You hear about anti-Semitic, but you don't hear about anti-Christian. Now, you have a strong anti-Christian bias, but we're ending that rapidly, I will tell you. It's a whole... We're in a much different world today than we were 1 year ago. This is
Oh, yeah.
And I created the first...
Yeah, we are. And yeah, there is a lot of anti-Christian sentiment expressed. And I'm tired of it. I think most people are. Now, I do not expect that to go away, if I'm being honest. I don't expect that to change. I actually think, it'll get worse for Christians over time. Maybe we'll have periods of peace, or periods or moments where it dies down a little bit. But I do suspect it's going to get more and more intense as time goes on, because that's par for the course for being a Christian. We are persecuted for our faith. We suffer for what we believe. And the world will hate us. And the world will hate us because every time they meet a Christian, they are confronted with a visceral truth of all the lies that they've built up around themselves. And that is why it is our responsibility to speak the truth, no matter how much they hate us, or no matter how bothered they are by us or what we say, or what they do to stop us. Because ultimately, the truth is they can't really stop us. No matter what they try against us, they can pass laws, they can pass legislation, they can scream and yell and ban us from platforms. They can even take our lives. But in doing so, it actually only advances the gospel more. So all their best efforts are futile. People have been trying to stop Christianity for years, and they ultimately failed, and it ultimately resulted in Christianity spreading to the uttermost bounds of the earth. So try and stop us. Come at us and see what happens. Watch the gospel spread more rapidly than ever before. Like, I'm not intimidated. I'm not concerned, because they have no power over me. They don't. I know who my God is, and I know that he fights for me, and I need only be still and trust him. So, yeah, whenever somebody says to me, keep my faith to myself, I simply respond by saying, no, I will not. I will share my faith boldly and proudly, and there isn't actually a dang thing you can do about it. You can't do anything about it. You could shut me off. You could try to pass bills. I'm still going to do it. Even if Christianity was outlawed tomorrow, you couldn't stop me. And even in death, my blood would still preach the gospel. And that's the beautiful thing about the Christian faith, is that even in death, the gospel advances and continues to bring life and bring it abundantly to all those spurred on by the example set by Christians who lived boldly for what they believed. And that is a beautiful thing. Okay, cool. One more story I want to cover. Actually, two more. I got two more. Two more. Let's see. We'll dive into this one real quick before we... One more, and then we'll do baseball Karen, because I just think this is a win. So Cracker Barrel, we've covered this before. Cracker Barrel came under fire for changing their logo and doing a redesign for all their restaurants and making it a shell of what it used to be. Well, we know they went back and apologized for changing the brand and changed it back, and now they are halting their renovations of the stores. You've shared your voices in recent weeks, not just on our logo, but also on our restaurants. We're continuing to listen. Today, we're suspending our remodels. If your restaurant hasn't been remodeled, you don't need to worry. It won't be. with our recent announcement that our old timer logo will remain, along with our bigger focus in the kitchen and on your plate. We hope that today step reinforces that we hear you. And then I guess they have this right up. So your shared voices in recent weeks, not just on our logo, but also our restaurants. We are continuing to listen, blah, 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 blah. We heard clearly that the modern remodel design does not reflect what you love about Cracker Barrel. We have tested this design in 4 out of 666 locations and will continue with it. Of course, we will be continuing to invest in our restaurants and make sure they are in good shape to meet your expectations. The vintage Americana you love will always be here. The rocking chairs on the porch, our fireplaces, peg games, unique treasures in our gift shops, and antiques pulled straight from our warehouse in Lebanon, Tennessee. We want you to have a warm, welcoming space for friends and family and to gather and enjoy our craveable food and our country hospitality. With our recent announcements that our old timer logo will remain alongside our bigger focus in the kitchen on your plate, we hope that today's step reinforces that we hear you. Thank you for your passion and your love. Our 70,000 hardworking team members look forward to welcoming you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner time. Well done. I mean, well done, everybody. We saved Cracker Barrel. That is great. So this is one of those things where when an effective boycott works, you need to reward the company by doing business with them. So go to your local Cracker Barrel, get some breakfast, visit their gift shop, buy those jelly things that they sell because they're really good, and show them some love because I think this is great. I think it's great. Now, I'm not against remodeling as long as it stays within the same theme, of the restaurant. You can freshen everything up, replace old fixtures, this, that, and the third, but keep it the same thing. We want to feel like we're going into our grandma's house. That's what we want to feel like. We want it to be a little cluttered. That's what gives it its charm. So I think that's good. All right. Now we're going to cover baseball carrying. Now, obviously, people have already covered the story. It's old news, but I want to talk about it still because I didn't get a chance to. See, here's one of the bummers about covering stories on Tuesday is that anything that happens over the weekend basically gets covered on Monday. So like I missed that whole weekend news cycle. But this is, I guess, the in case you missed it section where we will cover maybe stories that slipped under the rug a little bit later than everybody else, which does have some advantages because you get a wider scope of what actually happened. So sometimes people will report inaccurately on stories because they report right away. So this at least gives me a little bit more time to look a little bit deeper into the stories. And I just want to shout out everybody watching. I appreciate you. Those of you on Rumble, TikTok, X. I appreciate the support. Really, it's been awesome. I'm having an awesome time streaming to multiple platforms. It's been really cool. So especially adding in TikTok, you guys are awesome. My Rumble family are the best though. Not gonna lie, they're great. They're pretty great. But anyway, I appreciate all of you guys. All right, so I could not find this clip on the first clip of this video on X, despite that being where it was primarily disseminated, but I did find it on YouTube, so we're going to play the clip from YouTube. All right. I think I'm just going to have to shrink this down a little bit. There we go. All right, we're good.
Sometimes you need that reset. Oh.
And Bader just unloads on this one. Deep left field, and that one is gone as Bader goes back-to-back with Brandon. What a long home run to left for Harrison Bader. It's his 15th of the year. And his third since joining the Phillies. It's 5-1.
I do gotta say, what a freaking coward, man. Did you see him go like, come on. Oh my God, man. Ugh. I am very disappointed with that man as a man. All right, there's just no way in hell I'd be giving that ball back. It's still unclear to me who ultimately caught the ball. So here's another angle where you can hear them arguing. And I think what's being said. So she claims he took it from her hands. I don't know if that's the case. There is one more angle. So here it is. I don't know if she touched it. You can't really see. You see her bend down to get it. He grabs it, and you don't know if like he ripped it from her hands. She's claiming he did. But man, it is so pathetic to see him shake like that. I'm sorry. I couldn't do it. So anyway, this kind of erupted a lot of conversations of who's in the wrong. I would say both of them are, to a degree. Like if I'm an old lady and some guy takes the ball from me and gives it to his son, I'm not gonna actually, even if I'm pissed off about it, all right, I'm just not going to take it from the kid. I would go over and be like, hey, I just want you to know you're a piece of crap. I'm not going to take the ball from your son, but I did have that ball. But also the dad for just not standing up to her and just shrinking back and kind of behaving a little bit cowardly. It's embarrassing. Now, good news though is that this kid was ultimately rewarded. So after giving away the home run ball, the Phillies brought Lincoln, the young fan, into the locker room where he got a signed bat from Harrison Bader.
What's your name? Lincoln? Alright. Sorry you didn't get a ball, but I'm gonna sign a bat for you instead, alright? Lincoln?
Amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, so it looks like they did right by that kid. I think that's good. It's good. And there's one more video where I guess the dad does an interview kind of explaining his side of the situation, which I do think he still looks kind of bad. I'll be real with you guys. I think like his kids kind of, I don't know, look at him like, I can't believe you did that, Dad.
I wasn't very happy that we had to give it to her, but we can't win. She was gonna get it anyways.
No, she wouldn't have if he just didn't give it to her. I'd be like, yeah, lady, get out of my face. Leave me alone. I'm with my kid. Get lost. And I would have just ignored her. As she put her hands on me, I would have pushed her away. Please leave me alone. Get away from me. If she continued to bother, I'd just go get security. I'd be like, hey, listen, this lady's harassing me. Please remove her. And that's that.
Sure.
Yeah. He wasn't going to take it, but I decided to give her the ball. I apologize to you, but it was the right thing. We just wanted her to go away.
Yeah.
And it worked out. You got a bat.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That kid seems super disappointed. Yeah, I got a bat. but my father brought shame on our family.
Dad, do you have any regrets giving the ball back?
Yeah, like I said, it's, you know, that was what we were there for. We were there to get a home run ball. So I thought I had accomplished this great thing, and putting in his glove meant a lot. And she was just so adamant and loud and yelling and persistent, and I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. You know, there was hundreds of people, you know, just staring. And like I said, she was very, very, very close. And I'm dad of the family, so I didn't want to do something I'd regret. And that was the choice I made, is to just hand the ball back and tell her, go away.
He chose poorly, because I definitely would not have done that. I would have been like, yeah, no, lady, get lost, kick rocks. I'm not doing this with you. I'm not playing this stupid game. Get lost, go away, leave me alone, leave me and my kids alone. If you keep harassing me, I'm going to see if I can get security to come take you away. That's how I would have dealt with that. Because my honor is more important than that lady's feelings. All right. I think that's it. I think that's all I got for today, guys. Pretty solid stream. I appreciate every single one of you, even some of the haters that popped in. I'd be nothing without you. So thank you. And I hope that you like the stream. If you like it, share it, comment on it. Let me know what your thoughts. I'm available on pretty much every platform. Not Instagram yet. We'll get there. But YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, Kick, all of it. All of it. I'm everywhere. So follow me, support me. You can just go to rcamtv.com. That's probably the easiest way to get to my pages. And that'll do it for me today, guys. I hope you have a very blessed day and a very good night. Deuces.
This guy.